Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we're thrilled to have back on this iconic organization. They've been featured on our Spotlight show many times, and for good reason. And that is Gary and Mary West Pace. Joining us is Mary Jurgensen, Community Outreach Director. How you doing, Mary?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having us back.
I'm trying to think. Well, you guys have such great content. We could have you on every day for the next 15 years, and not even have 1/10 of what you folks do. When was the last time you were on?
Gosh, it was almost 2 years ago when we first kicked off our Essential Needs Drive.
Right. I know you guys do so many great things. And joining you is your colleague, Matt Vasile, a social worker for Gary and Mary West Pace. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
How long have you been involved with this wonderful organization?
I've been involved with PACE for over a year and a half.
Right.
And just really kind of gotten to know Mary and a lot of the team there. And It's just been awesome to work with them.
Yeah, it's an amazing team, and it's amazing culture, and it's amazing everything for that. Maybe you change your name to Amazing Pace or whatever the case may be. Mary, for those very few of our Spotlight on the Community listeners who do not know the mission of your organization, why don't you give us a little nickel tour?
Sure. Gary and Mary West Pace is part of a nationwide movement to really help seniors stay home independent for as long as possible and not to have to seek institutionalized care when chronic health conditions might indicate otherwise. So we serve seniors 55 or older who are housed in the community and provide primary and comprehensive medical care, social services, transportation, even socialization and activities on a daily basis.
Yeah, everything is a key word in that sentence, but socialization is about as critical as any in that vein. I know Matt will address that as well. The seniors you work with, are they sort of on the financial lower end mix, and you got to hit sort of a bar, sort of where you're only making X amount of money?
We are ideally serving the low-income seniors, but what's exciting and what's changed since I was last here is that definition has changed dramatically. It used to be that seniors really had to become very impoverished to where someone only had about $2,000.
Right.
Now a senior can have about $134,000 in order to qualify for Medi-Cal.
Nice.
And a couple almost about $189,000. So we're hitting the forgotten middle now with PACE.
And that is so true. And you think about that, unimaginable with 2,000. Are you kidding me? In this world, and especially with everything going on inflation-wise, and San Diego is not the most inexpensive place to live. That sort of exasperates it as well. Matt, how long have you been working with the seniors?
So I've been working with seniors for a little over 3 years now.
Right.
I originally started out at San Diego Regional Center.
Sure.
And that was kind of lifespan social work, helping people as old as, in their 80s, 90s that had developmental disabilities. And really, I think it's just been great to get to know these seniors and kind of see where their needs are and how we can help them out. They're often have great stories for us. And
well, there's no question, and you guys certainly step up to the plate, as well as we're very blessed in San Diego. Some great organizations serving seniors, of course. My friend Paul Downey Jr. and St. Paul's, Senior Services. There's some wonderful organizations, but there's never enough. Yeah. And you guys know this better than anybody. You guys certainly been a leader because you're so focused on, research and what happens. And there's a method to your madness, and there's no madness in it. And you have, I love the fact that you love metrics, and so how are we doing what is right? And so, here's the results on this aspect of it. I'll start with you on this, Matt, and then you can jump into Mary, and then we'll get to, what's going on with your annual Everyday Necessities Drive in North County. But and I say this quite a bit, but we need to do a much better job in this country treating seniors. Do we not, Matt?
No, yeah, I would agree. I think that a lot of times most insurance plans would just kind of address medical very hands-off, where you come to us, you kind of come and seek us out for your critical care. But what I love about PACE is that we are very involved in our seniors' lives, and we touch on everything: dietary needs, social services, transportation. We want to make sure that we can address it all, and that we're doing it right, and that there's a system in place that allows us to check up on them.
Yeah, and Mary, listen, there's some cultures that get it. Native American culture, absolutely adores their seniors and reveres their seniors and treats them as such. We tend to not do as good as that. That's sort of an understatement. Don't know why, because we're all going to be seniors, for God's sake. And you guys just eliminate that by, you talked about, we get them involved, chatting with each other. They got so much life in them. They got so many stories to tell. Talk about how important that is.
So, I think what Matt even touched on is that we are an insurance plan, but we take it so much further. When the seniors come in, there's some there that I just affectionately think of as my surrogate, grandmother or great aunt.
Sure.
And we really get enmeshed in what's going on. We have programs where they can reflect on, experiences, even in the military, or we have quite a big Latino population. So bringing together individuals from all different walks of life, but to really have someone to listen to what their story is and what makes them that unique individual. I did want to touch on too, what's really neat is not only does PACE focus on those participants, but we really are that support for the family. So everyone who's here in this room today, we are those adult children, and PACE programs focus on providing that care and support to the caregivers as well, which can be just as important.
Yeah, we're chatting with Mary Jurgensen, Community Outreach Director for Gary and Mary West PACE, joined by her colleague, Matt Vasile, social worker. I'm Drew Schlosberg at Cloudcast Media. Well, you must have been listening to other shows, because it's exactly what we talked about. We had some folks on from CureBound that raised money for cancer research. And, yes, it's the person who has cancer, obviously, you want to treat, but it's the family. And we know whether it's Alzheimer's or whether it's Huntington's disease or ALS and all that, you hit the nail on the head, Mary, which is so important. It's the extended family that is impacted as much as anybody. Obviously, it's the senior itself, of course, in that. Talk about the annual Everyday Necessities Drive in North San Diego County. There's a big seniors holiday drive. It goes, I think it started yesterday?
It started yesterday, and we are excited that this is our third drive.
Sure.
And I think the first time we visited you, it was in the height of COVID.
Right.
And what we saw was families were having to choose between rent or do we put those little packages under the Christmas tree, not only for our kiddos and for our parents.
Right.
So we made an ask of the community to just donate very simple items that we could then gift to not only our participants, but to other seniors in the community. This year, we asked our participants during one of their participant advisory council meetings, what do you think you'd want if someone in the community were to make a small donations? They all agreed. We all love a warm, fuzzy blanket to curl up on, on the couch or to watch our favorite TV show or just in bed at night. So we are asking the community for new or unused new blankets to be donated from beginning yesterday, November 17th, all the way through December 16th.
How much of our population is deemed senior? That's one of the 3.3 million or 3.4 now, whatever, that live here. And how many of those would be designated as those seniors that are living under tough financial situations?
Oh, gosh.
It's a big number.
It's a big number. I know we did a feasibility study just, within a 12-mile radius of our center. I mean, we could stay busy for years. I think initially it came up about, before the Medi-Cal asset test, it was about 24,000, and I'm sure that number has grown.
Yeah. And especially, one of the things that is one of the most disturbing things that I hear quite a bit from senior groups is one of the largest growing population of homeless are seniors. And I think that shocks the heck out of people. Well, it shouldn't shock you. Why should that be any different than the military or whatever? You guys do so much to make sure that doesn't happen, do you not?
Absolutely. I'll let Matt touch on this, but that's a crucial role of what PACE helps. I like to think help prevent and manage is keeping these seniors from having to resort to living on the streets. So
chat about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with homelessness, it looks different than what most people might expect. A lot of times seniors might be living in trailers or transitional settings where it's not actually safe for them. And we can start to pick up on that and notice that there's a trend going on that, there's just things that aren't adding up. They might not have access to water. They might not be sure how they're going to make up for rent or they've been falling behind. And these are kind of like the transitional steps that set off flags for our team in social work, where we go in and say, okay, what's going on? What are the supports that you've accessed? Is there any other community agencies we can collaborate with? Or how can we kind of bring your story to our team and make sure that we come up with a comprehensive plan that helps you? But it is an increasing problem. And I think there's a lot of great ideas out there, but it has to be a collaborative effort.
And on that note, maybe you can address this in a little bit, Matt, and you can jump in too, Mary, before we go to break. Collaboration is the key to almost anything here. Now, that sounds like an obvious statement, but very rarely do people do it. They talk about it a lot, and then they wind up in their own silos and go, you wonder why you went out of business, huh? Mm-hmm. In this aspect. But you guys collaborate with everybody. I imagine it's food banks. I imagine it's health services. Talk a little bit about that, Matt.
It is, yeah. So we definitely have a great network director that also helps us when we have found a different community partner we want to work with. We can, just kind of see what they're offering the community. And it does include like food services, kind of rental assistance, utilities assistance. Is there more mental health assistance that they can access? Because we can come up with certain solutions for rent, but if we're not covering all of the other aspects, like maybe substances or other things, then we haven't completely addressed the whole component. So that's where we look into getting all these services on board at the same time.
Yeah, and Mary, you got to imagine is that end user, that patient, so to speak, and as you rightly pointed out, that patient's or person's client's family, when they see the collaboration that West PACE does with these other groups, that's got to send a message to them that you guys actually care about them.
It does. The thing we hear most often is they wish they knew about us sooner.
Yeah.
And it's very intentional that PACE programs call individuals that are enrolled participants. We want participation from not only the individual we're helping, but also the families, because we're not there 24/7. So a lot of what we do initially is provide that education, that support, let someone know they're not alone. They've got a great team, but we're all going to get through this together.
We come back from break. I really want to, focus on some of the area that, Matt's an expert in, and that is, maybe working with the seniors. Say, how do you know when your family member needs to have some help, and can the person stay at home? We all want them to get their services at home if possible. West PACE is absolutely synonymous with dignity. It's in your DNA. That's the most important thing. And seniors, well, all of us need, for that matter, not just seniors, for God's sake, but especially seniors that have lost loved ones, have lost family, and it's just them. So maybe we can talk about that when we return with Mary Jurgensen, Community Outreach Director for Gary and Mary West PACE, joined by her colleague, Matt Vasile, social worker for this iconic, wonderful organization. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things to San Diegans for more than 60 years, and we will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, The unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and we are back with Mary Jurgensen, Community Outreach Director for Gary and Mary West Pace, joined by her colleague, Matt Vasile. And right before a break, Matt, we were just talking about, something that you work on, and Mary knows this also well, too. When you work with seniors, do you let them know, boy, this is probably a good time to consider doing X, or actually you can, stay at your house and get these services? Mm-hmm. What type of advice do you give, and how do you know to give that type of advice?
Yeah, definitely. So I think this comes up a lot in conversations with seniors and also family caregivers. Some things to pay attention to might be personal hygiene, increased falls. There might be bills piling up, or just a change in mood and engagement in regular social activities that's changed. Those are important things to kind of be aware of with your loved one. And if you've noticed it keeps happening and you're not too sure how to address it, I think it's good to just open up the conversation with them, ask neutral questions, open-ended questions. Hey, I noticed you used to take pride in hygiene and things like that, and getting ready for stuff. You're not getting ready as much as you used to. Do you feel like something's changed? Or, you've missed a few bills. Is that something you're aware of? Is there anything that you need that I can help you with as the family caregiver? That might be a few things you could say or offer them. And really just kind of keeping an eye on when things start to build on each other, and maybe reaching out to a local PACE organization or contacting some of the community resources to ask for some more help and kind of a thorough follow-up.
Yeah, and that advice is just spot on, because most people I don't know how I'm going to approach this. Are you kidding me? I mean, what you stated was perfectly. Whether they can do it in your intonation is good, but that takes practice, and you're a pro at doing that. But it lets them, certainly not be intimidated or scared or anxious, or what are you trying to do? On this, we know a lot of times, whether it's, onset dementia, whatever, people start thinking differently and start acting out when it's not really them, but it is them. You guys know this better than anybody on that. So I think that is spot on. Do you have on your website, Matt and Mary, here are some things that you should ask or you should be aware of if you're, just how you described it? Is that on the site?
Yeah, that is on our website, as well as I think a couple other places where
we do. We have a very active blog portion of our website that has all sorts of tips and relevant stories. I think we even have some participant stories about what happened after they discovered PACE.
Right.
But I think to add to what Matt was saying as well, I think my team in enrollment is really the first entry point. This is where families call in, and sometimes they were given a card, or they don't know who they're calling or why they're calling.
Right.
And our goal really is to let them know you're not alone. And this isn't the first quote unquote rodeo that our team has ever entered into.
Right.
We're going to be with you along the way. You don't have to continue to struggle and seek help all by yourself blindly. We try to establish that relationship that we can literally, take you by the hand. Maybe it's just over the phone. And if it's not PACE for you today, or if PACE just isn't forever for you, trust that we'll get you to one of our community partners that can make this journey a little easier.
Yeah, and that is just absolutely so much stress off of the family member that's dealing with it. When I was at the Union Tribune, we had just launched, and I think they're still doing it. I'm not working with the paper anymore. But it was a caregiver session, and it was online. And when they first launched this, I had them on the show. There's 600,000 caregivers, I think, give or take, in San Diego County. You'd know this better than I would. At least that used to be. And 300,000 of them look like us. They're the family members that, you guess what? It was November the 17th, and you were fine, and now November 18th, you are a caregiver. Huh? I didn't sign up for that. You are the caregiver, because whether it's whatever the case may be, and now you are thrust into doing these things. You know this because you guys live in this 365, 24/7. But for the people that it hits a shot, I got to give the medicine to this person. I got to do it. Well, the answer is yes. Yeah, you do. And working with you folks will give you the advice. And when my mom needed caregiving help, bless her heart, she passed at 95 years young a couple of years ago. And but she had visiting angels. And but she was smart enough to get long-term health care. And the stress that relieved my brother and I, because she was in the best of care, and it was at her house. And she was fine mentally and all that business. Huge. Talk about how important, you just have to make that call, do you not, Mary?
You do. And I think, I'll tell families, you've done the hardest thing. You picked up the phone. And the second hardest thing is letting us come into your home.
That's right.
We really want to see what the environment looks like. And so we try to make it as casual and non-intrusive as possible. We'll ask some questions, but hopefully at that point we've established some trust. It's not a judgment. It's really just tell us what the best day looks like and tell us what the worst day looks like. And let's see if we can't, right some of the chaos. And oftentimes there's so many dynamics and there's so much noise going on in the background. So getting them in the hands of the experts that do this each and every day. It might be, you might only do this journey once or twice.
Yeah.
We do it every single day.
So, one of the issues is that comes up. And I think this would be great advice for people that are facing this. And I've seen this happen with a bunch of my friends who are now, taking care of their recalcitrant single parent, because one of them has passed away, or both of them, that I don't want to deal with this. I can take care of myself. And they can't, and they wind up being intrusive to, them, the kids, because you need to do this, and that. And of course, they love their parents, but they got a life to live. They got kids themselves, or they got jobs. Yeah. And the parent just refuses to get that help. They have the resources to do the help. They refuse to do it.
Right.
That's not a new concept, right? How do you deal with that, man?
So I think this is definitely something that comes up quite a bit. There's definitely a sense of independence and pride and wanting to maintain things as they are, kind of maintain the status quo as much as possible. But in these situations, I kind of try to encourage seniors that I'm working with to just try it. Just see if this is something that you might like. It would be a little bit different. And then look at the pros and the benefits. A family comes to mind that once they started with PACE, we offer transportation services. And once transportation turned on for dialysis transportation, whereas previously the daughter had been doing all of this, it changed their lives because it was just such a huge lift off of her shoulders. And also the participant was relieved to know that she could get reliably to and from where she needed to be and not have to schedule with family, have those conflicts with family that can sometimes come up. It's still maintaining pride and independence, but it's also taking back a little bit more control and trusting your healthcare team to step in.
Do you guys have, Mary, perfect content on that, Matt? Do you have a place where someone's listening to the interview here and says, you know what, that is my parent, and I'm about ready to do a swan dive off the Coronado Bridge or do something worse to the parent I love? I don't mean to be facetious. It is real. And I've heard a lot of times. Can they call you folks and say, I heard this on the podcast, and can I talk to someone?
Absolutely. So we have our phone number is 760-280-2230. We also, of course, have a great new website at www.westpace.org. And I think a lot of families actually initially find us late at night. They can't sleep. They're worried about mom. They look at check out the website. We even have a contact form there where someone can fill out a form and we'll get right back to them. Our goal is within 24 hours of receiving that.
Well, that's huge. Matt, any final comments?
No, thank you so much for having me. If you know someone who's interested in this program, please just call. I would give it a try. You can ask questions. We're able to go out to the house and meet with people directly in their home. So that's a great perk as well. And just ask questions.
No, that is huge. Mary, any final comments?
Just one final request from the community. Holidays are really a time where we think about how can we give back, but our seniors need help each and every day. I think a neat part of our essential needs drive is we also have an option where families who may not be able to stop by and drop off a blanket are able to get onto our GoFundMe page and make a small donation in lieu of a blanket donation. We also are on Amazon, so you can, while you're shopping for your family on Friday, you can get on Amazon and make a donation through that as well. All of the proceeds we raise through our GoFundMe campaign are actually how we continue to give back to seniors beyond the holidays. So we have used proceeds that we've received in the past to purchase furniture for someone that we've been able to find a new home, bought a very simple chair and table and lamp, something she didn't have. Even down to, we have a gentleman who was living in a garden shed. And in the winter, we were quite taken aback that he didn't have warm blankets, didn't have a bed, was sleeping on the ground. We were able to get an REI cot and a sleeping bag that he could enjoy.
Well, those are all valuable things. Well, thank you for the great work you have done, are currently doing, and will be doing into the future. The whole community benefits from it, not just the seniors, obviously. And we absolutely look forward to having you folks back on again. You have such great content, and I know there'll be something coming up after the first of the year. We'll chat about even more fun stuff. Promise to come back on?
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure. We've been chatting with Mary Jurgensen, Community Outreach Director for Gary and Mary West Pace, joined by her colleague, Matt Vasile. I'm Drew Schlosberg. As you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Great things that they bring to San Diego for more than 60 years.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.